and we'll get going. So thank you for joining us. We are excited, of course, to start another school year. Of course, we're not starting in the way that we would like to, but we are trying to make the best out of the situation. And we really do, I think, have some great plans for what students can expect as we transition to the 2020-2021 school year. And for those who don't know my voice or know who's speaking right now, this is Nicole Jones. I'm one of our assistant principals here at South. Most of you, I see a lot of familiar names. Most of you I've met through having conversations about coming to high school over the last couple of years. I've been here as our NYP coordinator for the last 4. And so I've transitioned to a new role. So it's good to see your names, and I'm not seeing your faces, but I wish that I was. Mr. Ivy is here with us as well, and I'm going to turn it over to him in just a minute here. But before I do, I want to go over some meeting norms. I've already mentioned it once, but if you can please just remember to keep your mic muted. That way we don't have background noises throughout the meeting. And then also I know that some of you have questions. Please know that we have tried to kind of pre-think what those questions might be. So if you can wait until the end of the meeting to ask questions, we'd really appreciate it. Know that we're going to provide a list of frequently contacted staff members so that you can identify who you might need to reach out to specifically. Also know that if it's something for your specific child or an individual need, that this may not be the best platform to ask those questions. But if you do have questions for the good of the group, we will try our best to answer those before we leave this meeting. And then our last one, please be positive and engaged. Know that we love our students. They're the best part of working at South, and our staff has really been working hard to ensure that they have the best experience that we can provide. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ivy.
Hello, for those of you that don't know my voice, guess what? You just got introduced to your principal via Zoom. I know, new concept that we've all had here, but this is Tim Ivy, the very proud principal of South Iredell High School, the place I like to call the ultimate educational, extracurricular, athletic, and now virtual learning experience. And guys, we say that because that's what South is. It is about the experience of high school. A lot of questions I know are pertaining to our school year coming up. I do want to emphasize that we are very excited about the plan that we've developed under the circumstances we're in. And so let's get right into it. The learning plan for the 2020 fall, it's not our whole entire school year. Please note that this is not our plan for the entire school year. We're hoping that students will be able to return to school as soon as possible. But for right now, we think that this might be until for the fall. And if we get to come back earlier, we'll transition back at that time. So we are on Plan B. And so a lot of people have asked questions about Plan B, and under Plan B, which was provided for us by the governor and the state of North Carolina, we are allowed to have up to 50% of our student population on campus as long as we can meet the guidelines set forth by the state and the CDC. Now, with some of the campus restrictions and class sizes and our student population, we had to adopt a Plan B/C, which means that we will have virtual learning for our students with in-person and virtual support provided for them. And we're going to go over that plan and how that in-person and virtual support looks very quickly or very shortly. But I did want you to know that the instructional plan will be providing students with modules on Canvas, and those are weekly modules. And so the primary way students will receive instruction is virtually. So the next thing that we want to talk about is, what does that support look like? Because we really wanted to make sure that as a student who is participating in virtual learning, that you have the opportunity to receive support. And we've got a schedule that outlines when teachers will be available for support and how they're going to support students. But support can be provided in 2 ways. It can be remote support, where teachers host live recorded lessons, or they may have specific Zoom meetings for students during that time that they've identified need help on a certain concept or a certain part of the content. Or it could be in-person support, where students are invited to come to school to participate in a hands-on activity, or complete a science lab, or work on an art project, or participate in a performing arts activity. There are a lot of different things that can happen during that in-person support. But due to us having to limit the number of students who are on campus at one time, that process may be a little bit more difficult than just opening up the campus for all students. And so we do have a plan that we will be working on with the students and introducing them to during the first week of school. And then we'll begin based on need, providing again virtual support and in-person support to our students.
In addition to coming on campus for in-person support, know that we want to make sure that our students who may not have reliable internet access have the opportunity to come onto campus to utilize the internet if need be. And so we are looking at setting up several different areas on campus as essentially internet cafes based on need. So right now we're planning on utilizing the auditorium and the Performing Arts Center and potentially the cafeteria as internet access points for students who may need to come to school for that. So for example, I live in the country and the only internet provider we can get is Windstream, and so it's not always reliable. So we do know that we have families that live in areas that are like mine where maybe they don't have that that reliability that a lot of us are accustomed to at home. And so that we do have a plan for those students. So know that Mrs. Van Vliet's email address is at the bottom of our open house agenda. And so if that applies to you or your student, please make sure that you send her an email so that we can start to compile a list of those students who may need that support. And then lastly, transportation. Transportation is something that we've talked about here over the last month. Know that the images that you're seeing right now are part of an infographic that we sent out when we first released our learning plan. But since students will really only be attending school by appointment, either request from the student or signed by a teacher or here for internet, we will not be running the normal bus routes that we usually run. We are going to run shuttle routes instead, and so know some of the information about that will be forthcoming, but a lot of our students and a lot of our families are familiar with that shuttle stop busing concept because they've been in our IB program. So we will have locations around town, both on the southern end of the county and throughout the Troutman community in Statesville, where students can essentially meet the bus to come to South if they need to get here. So we've talked a little bit about our virtual learning plan with in-person and virtual support. And what you're looking at right now is the schedule that we shared in July. Know that we've not really changed a whole lot. We feel pretty confident in our plan, and that's because our plan should be familiar to you. So if you've already had a student here at South, what we've done is we've taken our Smart Lunch schedule and expanded it to create a schedule for support throughout the week. So you can see here every morning from 7:40 to 8 o'clock, staff will report to school for health screenings and attestation. So every day, staff will have to be temperature checked and health screened before they can report to their classrooms to work. And then from 8 to 8:45 every day, you can see that time is set aside for teacher office hours or planning or staff meetings. Know that those are some internal things that you may not know all the nuances of, but that's what's happening here at school. And also independent student work time. So as your child is getting up and around, that's the time where maybe they're resetting or setting up for the day and thinking about what they need to get accomplished. If students are coming to campus for help, you can see that they will arrive between 8:30 and then 9 o'clock for health screenings as well. The schedule that we are going to utilize in regards to instruction looks very much like our Smart Lunch schedule. So students who've been at South are very familiar with this, but you can see that Monday morning is dedicated to social studies, Monday afternoon, sciences, Tuesday morning, math, Tuesday afternoon, English and world language. Wednesday is what I call the potluck or the potpourri. It's a whole bunch of everything. So we have CTE classes, arts, PE, and JROTC will happen all day on Wednesday. So if you have multiple classes in those subjects on Wednesday, you may have a morning session in one and an afternoon session in the other. Thursday morning, science, Thursday afternoon, mathematics, Friday morning, English and world language again, and then Friday afternoon, social studies. Know that this schedule is set up so that our students who need services through the Exceptional Children's Department have opportunities to have those in all of their content areas if needed, so that they can get their the time that they need with those supports, and that their IEP and 504 measures will continue to be met as well. In the middle of the day, you can see that we have a transition. So if students are coming on campus for in-person or virtual support, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be here for a full school day. We will have a transition period in the middle of the day. You can see lunch will happen during this time for those who are here. We will have virtual club meetings. So if you have a student who's been actively involved in clubs at South, those will continue virtually during that time. And also that there's a transition for parent pickup and student and drop off. So if you're coming for an afternoon session, you can see that the drop off is between 11:35 and 12:05, and that students will have to be health screened as well. In the afternoon, again, you can see that teachers have office hours and students have independent work time with afternoon car rider pickup between 2:10 and 2:40.
Another familiar part about what we're going to be doing with our learning plan is a program that we started using in January called Efficiency. And for students, we called it the Smart Lunch Scheduling System. And it's a program which essentially allows students to see sessions that teachers are offering, and teachers are also allowed to create sessions and assign students. It emails the student and lets them know what session that they are assigned to. And so what we've done is worked with the company that we used for Smart Lunch and have adapted their program to meet the needs of our learning plan. We will provide students with training on efficiency and a reminder for those who may not have been involved in it from last year. But as a student who is already at South, you are able to sign in to efficiency through your Gmail account. And parents, there is no parent observer option for efficiency, but you can ask your student to log on through their Gmail and show you through the announcement section what opportunities are available for them to take part in. And those are the sessions that may be offered during the week. Teachers will be listing those there, and we will have a designated day that the emails go out to students so they can prepare to come to campus if they're selected, or prepare to participate in a virtual support session if that's how it is offered. So more information on this will be shared, but we did want those students who are on the Zoom here with us today to know that we're going to try to use as many products and things that are familiar to you. So school, even though the situation we're in does seem very foreign, the things that we're using are not, and they are common things that we've already used here at South to help you progress as a student and to become a better student. Now let's talk about the first 5 days of school. A lot of people have asked questions about that, and we do have a plan for the first 5 days of school. And after that, we will transition a little more into our virtual learning plan, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. But our schedule for the first 5 days of school is active synchronous Zoom links. And so students will be receiving an email from their teachers in their school email. We've asked the teachers to also include the parent email that is listed in PowerSchool, so that parents and students should receive emails stating the day that you, or the link that you will need to log on to the Zoom meeting. Now, parents, we sent it to you just so that you would be aware in case your student didn't get the email or there was some problem with their email, that you were able to help them with the link, but parents are not expected to log in to those classes. But what will happen is we will have advisory from 8 to 8:25 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then we will follow an abbreviated schedule, which looks very much like an early release schedule, where students will check in with their teachers each day of the week next week. Now, the purpose of this is for us to onboard students, to teach them about how the virtual learning plan will be working, to get them to meet their teacher, to build some relationships with them so that they can have the most positive learning experience that they can through a virtual learning environment. In the afternoon, as you'll notice, we'll be providing pickup for class materials. And as you will note, if you're looking or have looked at the list of supplies that teachers have listed by their name on the open house agenda that was sent out, they were to designate if a student would have a material that they would need to pick up from school, as if they need a textbook or art supplies or any of those. So if your class requires materials to be picked up, Then starting on Tuesday in the afternoon, we will provide a time for students to come to campus, and through drive-through, they will pick up materials. So on Tuesday in the afternoon, if your last name is A through E, then you will pick up items. F through L will be on Wednesday, M through R is on Thursday, and Friday is S through Z. Please note that if you happen to miss those days, we will provide a day for makeup or those who didn't make it the following week. But until we see how many students still need to pick up materials, we won't be releasing that information because we may have to have more than one day that we provide or opportunity for students to pick up their materials. Now, the other question we've had another topic we've had a lot of questions about is attendance. So in order for a student to confirm their enrollment in a class, we need to make sure that they log on to a scheduled synchronous class meeting during the first week of school. And that's why we have those offered there, so that we can confirm that our students are enrolled and participating in the class, and we can orient them to what's going on in that class and how the class modules will work. After the first week, we're going to transition to our virtual learning plan, which students will receive weekly modules, and they will have a common due date, time that they are posted. And so we're going to be talking about that in just a few minutes. But again, we will be transitioning to our plan that talks about virtual learning with in-person and remote support after the first week of school.
So I do want to talk to you a little bit about teaching and learning and what our plan is in regard to teaching and learning moving forward. And so no, the good news is that nothing really is changing, because historically the teachers at South do a fabulous job of teaching our students and providing engaging and interesting learning opportunities. And even when we were thrown into kind of that crazy scenario in the spring, they did a really good job of ensuring that students had resources and unique opportunities to have choice and voice in what they were doing in class. But we are shoring up some processes to make things a little bit more clear across our school community. So our goal with what we've worked on over the last part of the summer is to create something that is predictable, repeatable, and transparent for students and for parents. I think students, by and large, knew what the expectations were from their teachers because they had spent enough time with them to know how class operated and how teachers were utilizing Canvas. But if you were a parent and you were not familiar with that, and you have a student who maybe is not as forthcoming with what's going on in school, because they're teenagers, and so when you ask them how things are, they say things are fine, and that's pretty much all you get. It could be frustrating because you didn't know where to find the information that you needed to then help your student help themselves. And so we really wanted to focus on ways that we could streamline processes to help you with that. And so know that our main mode of communication for all classes is going to be Canvas. This is nothing new. So we were one of the first schools in the county to adopt Canvas as a school-wide learning management platform. And so we've been using this across the board. I think last year was the first year that all teachers utilized Canvas. So this will continue. If you are not set up as a parent observer account, please do so. And the same is said with PowerSchool. So Mr. Ivy sent a weekly update last week that had this document that we're looking at in it, and it has all these links that are live and active for you. So know that the guidance for setting up an observer account is linked in that weekly update Mr. Abbey sent last week, but we strongly encourage you to do this. We recognize that we have a lot of really independent students who don't need help from their parents in regards to staying organized or staying on top of their schoolwork, but we recognize that we have an awful lot who do, and especially those who are new to high school. We recognize that the transition from middle school to high school can be a tough one in the best of circumstances, but in a virtual world, it's going to be even more trying, I guess. And so if we can get all on the same page in regards to how communication is going to be sent out and what students will need to check, we'll all be hopefully in a good spot. Once you're in Canvas, know that every teacher is going to post their unit at a glance so that parents and students know what their current topics are. We want to make sure that they have an idea of the content that's being covered, the concepts that are going to be taught, and of course the skills that students need to utilize in order to be successful throughout the unit of study. You're also going to see a weekly overview. So we're changing things up just a little bit. Based on the fact that we're going back into a virtual world, having daily assignments by class could make it seem like you're playing whack-a-mole, and we don't want teachers or parents or students to feel like they are playing whack-a-mole. We want to be consistent and we want things to be clear. And so teachers are going to distribute information about weekly lessons, assignments, resources by Monday morning at 8 o'clock for all classes. And so every week, that's going to be the drill. Monday morning at 8 o'clock, all of my work for the week is going to be posted with the instructions that I need to find it, with meeting times, whatever is going to be needed for the upcoming week will be up and ready for students by Monday morning. The kicker is that students will have until the following Monday to get anything that they need to turn in into their teachers. And so that means that time management is going to be very important. And so the first week of school, Mr. Ivy mentioned we're going to have synchronous class meetings. We're really going to be having some conversations about students developing schedules for themselves, students following that plan for virtual learning with supports to set aside the time that they will need to get their work completed, because you know, we're in a different spot than we were in the spring. This is not kind of a Hail Mary pass, let's make sure that we can get something together. This is targeted, this is regular instruction, and we need to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and that students are doing their due diligence, so that we can have a really strong educational environment. So those assignments will all be due the following Monday at 8 a.m. So we will have a week turnaround time for everything. Everything will be given at the beginning of the week and due the following. The expectation for students, again, that those things are all submitted by the following Monday at 8 a.m. My hope is that they will utilize that schedule for virtual learning that had social studies Monday morning and then science Monday afternoon, as how they will chunk their time and how they will utilize their time to make sure that they're getting the tasks accomplished that they need to get accomplished. The grading policy for South has not changed. Know that it's linked again in that overview that Mr. Ivy sent last week in his weekly update, but homework is kind of, I'm not sure what homework looks like right now, considering everything is homework in some ways, but it'll be, if it's designated as homework, it's no more than 10% of the grades, but students will continue to have formative and summative assignments. And the one thing that is going to be a little bit different is that we are going to have a school-wide late policy for assignments in all classes. So since students know and parents know that students have that week turnaround time to get work in and that all things are due by Monday morning at 8 o'clock, anything submitted after Monday morning at 8 o'clock will receive 10% off each day up to 4 days. So after 4 days, that assignment can only earn a maximum grade of a 50%. So students can still turn it in. However, it'll be for half credit at that point. So when we think about that, if Monday morning is our cutoff, that means in order for work to receive credit, it needs to be in by Friday. Otherwise, the maximum grade will be a 50.
Okay, another important topic that we have is safety protocols. So we just want to go over a few of those, and I wanted to remind you that we do have several videos that were linked in the open house agenda that kind of go over what life would be like if you ride a bus or if you're a car rider or if you drive to school. So we do have daily health screenings and temperature checks, so we're going to be following that process for all visitors and for students who attend school. So even our staff goes through that each morning. And so everybody is checked. We will be asking anybody on campus to follow the social distancing guidelines of being at least 6 feet apart from each other. And that also includes in the classrooms, which is one of the reasons why we had to adopt a plan B/C, or B with virtual learning and in-person support and virtual support, was due to the constraints that were put on us with our class sizes. Some of our classrooms that could accommodate up to almost 40 students were, due to the safety protocols, the social distancing protocols, were reduced down to 10 to 12 students per class. Also note that masks are required while on campus by all students, staff, and visitors. And we have hand washing that we're encouraging, as well as each classroom has hand sanitizer, and students who enter the classroom will be asked to sanitize as they enter each classroom if they are on campus and transitioning from one place to the other or just arriving. Now, students reporting to school for in-person support will go through a health screening before they're allowed to enter campus. They must pass this screening before they can report to class. And if you are on campus, we ask students that are here, we will know who is coming, and they will need to report directly to that support session. Again, those videos are linked in our open house agenda, and they provide an overview of what all this may look like for those of you who may be attending campus with us based on your individual learning needs. Okay, another big question here at South. South's a pretty big place, so there's a lot of people involved on our staff and teachers. So who do I contact? Here's a list of the most frequently contacted people on campus. I'm going to go over them with you just real quickly. And also want to point out that we have a document on our website called the ABCs of South, and it's under our website. All you have to do is select activities and then campus life, and you will see a link to the ABCs of South. It is a list of all activities and all things that happen on our campus. It's broken down by the alphabet, which is why it's called the ABCs of South, and it allows you to know then who to contact for any issue that you might have. First off, on our frequently contacted individuals is Mr. Sean Chaffee, who is our athletic director, Miss Bass, our attendance secretary, IB and DP career-related programs. You'll contact Miss Jones, our assistant principal. The MYP program, you'll contact Ms. Bostic, our MYP coordinator. For library, media, or technology needs, please reach out to Ms. Van Vliet. Payments go to our bookkeeper, Ms. Wingler. For Power School, Ms. Harmon. And then our counselors are broken up by alphabet. And so you can see Ms. Van Buren serves the letters A through E. Mr. Davis, last names F through L. Ms. Hageman, M through R. And Ms. Gamble, S through Z. And so this information, again, is also listed in another presentation called Parent University that if you want to, you can watch. It also gives you kind of an overview of just some general information about South. And we have it listed on our open house document that we sent out with a list of all staff, an introductory video for them, as well as supplies and things that you might need for their classes. Okay, I also want to encourage you guys to get involved. Now, I know that sounds weird when we're at home in a virtual environment, and we're also all living through a pandemic that is going on in our country, but we have several ways for parents to get involved. And I always encourage parents that even though when they get to high school and they're more independent and they can go out and do lots of things, and they almost seem to be pushing us as parents or adults away, that is the most important time to find a way to get involved. It's just being involved looks a little different than it normally does, than it might have, per se, in elementary and middle school. So we have several organizations that you can get involved in, and as a parent, they're the academic boosters, the athletic boosters, the band boosters, the FFA alumni, or you can volunteer at South. If that's something that you're interested in doing, even during the pandemic, please reach out to us here at South Iredell, and we'll be glad to find a way to get you involved. And we'll be happy to have you volunteer here at campus or in any way possible that you can to serve our community. Now, before we leave this section, I did want to see, I think we have Lily Bonomar, our president of the Academic Boosters, or co-president of our Academic Boosters, which wanted to take a few minutes to introduce herself to everyone on the Zoom call and let you know about the Academic Boosters and how you can help this organization better serve your students here at South.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Ivy. I'm Lily Bonomo, and I have a 10th grade at South Iredell High School. I also had 2 kids that went through the program, so I have been around for some time. And I want to welcome you all for this very challenging year that we have ahead of us. Hopefully, it will be all sooner than later, and we can go back to our normal, whatever normal is, right? But I want to tell you that having a kid at South Iredell High School makes you part of the Academic Boosters. And we are the parents that help support staff, students, administration, all the South Iredell student community. So I want to invite you to come and join us. At these difficult times, we need each other, you know. Our mission is to support the school and give them resources that sometimes we don't get from the district. So just join us. Things that we have been doing is we have been doing a lot for hospitality. We also, and our #1 priority is helping with training teachers. And also, we created last year a scholarship that we gave to two seniors last year. So we have been doing a lot. I'm very proud of the Academic Booster, and I want you to come to the monthly meetings, even if it's virtually, and you will be informed when we have them. Just be part of our group. Let's make South even stronger from a parent's perspective, okay? Join us for our monthly meetings and follow us on Facebook. We are South Iredell Academic Booster Club, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, Mr. Ivy. Thank you, Ms. Jones. And here we go, South Iredell High School, a brand new school year.
So I just want to, I guess, reiterate how awesome all of our booster organizations are, but our academic boosters in particular, they really do support our school in a variety of ways. Of course, providing teachers and students with resources they need for teaching and learning, but also providing staff lunches, incentives for different projects we have going on around the school. I don't know that Lily mentioned it, but last year we did our big day of service, and the boosters helped us organize that. And we ended up raising, I think, we ended up earning 20 tickets for Walt Disney World. Hopefully at some point that'll be normal and we can go again. But that will be utilized as a giveaway or a raffle at some point coming up. But they were really an awesome group, and we truly couldn't do it without them. So I strongly encourage you to be involved with them and to seek information out. And if you have questions, Lily is a great person to ask, because she, like she mentioned, she's on her third Viking student now, who's a sophomore. So she's been around for a while and really knows kind of the ins and outs of South. So thank you, Lily. We're almost at the end of what we have as a structured presentation for you. But before we go, we do want to remind you to follow us. I know a lot of you already do. Follow us on social media, on our Facebook page. And then, of course, we have a new Instagram page. Mrs. Van Vliet also created a YouTube channel for us. And a lot of the videos that are linked in our open house agenda today are on that YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that. We will continue to utilize that to try to highlight what happens here at South. So we know sometimes, and you know sometimes, that the rumor mill can get going, and you might hear information about what's happening at the school, second, third, fourth hand. We strongly encourage you to follow our social media pages, to read those updates that Mr. Ivy sends. And of course, if somebody says something that doesn't quite sound right to you, reach out to us. We're happy to help. We're happy to clarify. We really do love our school. We love our students. We love our parents. We really appreciate all the support that you give to us. So if there's something that you need that we're not providing, let us know, and we're here to help you. Mr. Ivy, anything to say before I stop recording?
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that emphasize just a few things. I know this is a very unprecedented start to the school year, but I also want to emphasize to you as a family and parents and students who are on the Zoom call with us that it is important that you remember that just because we face a challenge doesn't mean that we won't be successful. A lot of times when hard times come to us, we essentially tend to dive into the parts that we can't do and the things that we don't like about it. But ultimately, it is important for us as a community, as a school community, to decide which way we want to view this. We can look at it as something that is different and that we don't like, or we can look at it as an opportunity for us to grow. And I always say that through challenges, there's growth. And I have no doubt that through this situation that we're dealing with, that as a school community, we will grow. And I do feel confident that our teachers are able to provide a quality educational product and that we are able to support students. We spend a lot of time working on our virtual learning plan and looking at feedback that we received from students, staff, parents, and just about anybody who would tell us what they felt about the spring and how things went. And we tried to make a lot of accommodations for individual learning needs and for parent needs. And so our program is set up to really be supportive to students. As a parent, I would encourage you to work with your student, and students, I would encourage you to create a daily schedule for how you're going to approach your learning. And it would be in your best interest to use the schedule that we have created so that you're working on the subject during the time that the teacher is available to provide support. That way, if you do have questions, you can reach out in a timely manner and get your questions answered and continue learning. But I also want to encourage us as a school community to realize that we're all in this together, that even though it's not what we expected and what we wanted, it is what we're in. And so therefore, I want us to all realize that there is a positive spin on this. You happen to attend South Iredell High School. This is an absolutely fabulous place. We're full of fabulous teachers and fabulous people who cared very deeply about your student. And we want your student to be successful, and we're going to do everything in our power to make them as successful as we possibly can. We ask that you communicate with us, and we also ask that you realize that during life, we're all going to face struggles. And it is an opportunity for us to help our students develop skills and to learn to dive through these things and to work through them and to encourage them to do the best that they can. I believe in each and every one of you just as much as I believe in our staff and all those that we serve here at South. And ultimately, I want you to remember that you do attend South Iredell High School, and South Iredell High School has an excellent reputation based off our students and based off our performance. And that reputation is built each and every day in the classroom and through service that our students do to our community. So I want you to know that and remember that even though you're learning at home, you're still part of South Iredell. And so before we sign off, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, well, we're not signing off, before we stop our recording, that just remember, if you're new, you haven't heard me say this, but if you are a returning student, you hear me say this quite often when you're here on campus, and you'll hear it virtually quite a bit this school year too. Don't forget that you're all part of what is the greatest club in Troutman, South Iredell High School. You are awesome, and you're all part of the Viking Nation. Service, innovation, honor, success. I believe in you guys, and I know we're going to be successful this year.